All right, how's it going? Daniel Grimmett here from Make a Living Producing. Want to welcome you to my new YouTube channel. Some of you have seen me do a lot of content on my other channel, Make Pop Music, but I decided to launch a new one here just to not, oversaturate my other channel with business stuff. So the Make a Living Producing channel will be strictly business. And if you don't know who I am, my specialty, my expertise, what I do is I'm a consultant, a coach. I help independent music producers build 5, 6 figure businesses from their bedroom studios, typically working with clients. So, producers who offer client services. Now, before I dive into the video, if you want to check out anything that I do, you can just go to danielgrimmett.com. All right, now that that's out of the way, we're going to talk today about word of mouth versus paid advertising. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is I saw some content going around, some articles, some videos, kind of demonizing paid advertising, saying it's just a bad idea to do, and that the best marketing is word of mouth. And I definitely get it, and I wanted to kind of share my take on that, and give you some insights on how I use paid advertising, and talk a little bit about word of mouth, and we'll look at how the two go hand in hand together, and then both of them are important, even if you're starting out, even if you're new. So let's talk about word of mouth, and then we'll talk about that first, then I'll get into the paid advertising. So one of the reasons that people say word of mouth is the best forms of marketing is because, in a sense, it is. It's great because you don't really have to do much. You do your best work, and people talk about you. It's free, if you will, free marketing, and people usually feel good about something when they get a referral from a friend. If I ask, hey, who should produce my record, who should produce beats for me, and a friend of mine says, oh, you got to try this guy. To me, I trust my friend, so I trust that he's leading me to a good guy to produce my song. So it's very powerful. Word of mouth is very powerful. Now, with that said, so is paid advertising. So is paid advertising. The point is, though, that most people just don't do it right. They're running Facebook ads to cold traffic, and the ads themselves are usually bad. Hey, I'm a producer, I'm a studio, we can mix for you. And so anyway, that's just kind of the intro to this video. Let's start with word of mouth. Now, I got this little tablet thing I'm writing with. I want to warn you that I'm getting used to it, so my writing looks like a kindergartner, so you're going to have to bear with me. I promise that I am above the age of 6 years old, despite my handwriting looking like it on this thing. So let's talk about word of mouth first. Okay. So like I just mentioned, very powerful. But word of mouth is not a strategy, okay? Word of mouth is not a marketing strategy. Word of mouth is just a byproduct of us doing good work, of us doing our best work and giving our clients a good experience, right? That's all you got to do. That's about as much control as we have over word of mouth. We do our best job and hope that people go out and talk about us, and over time they do, and we build a reputation. That leads me to my next thing. What do you need for word of mouth to work? You need a reputation. A good reputation, of course, not a bad. Well, unfortunately, word of mouth works even better if you have a bad reputation. More people are more likely to complain if you've done something wrong than they are to say that you've done something good. But let's say a good reputation is obviously what we want. So what is a good reputation? How do you get that? How do you get a good reputation outside of doing your best work, taking care of your clients? Time. Word of mouth just takes time. It takes time to develop. So what I've seen is a struggle for a lot of up and coming producers is they say, okay, yeah, everybody says word of mouth, word of mouth. That's the best, that's how they made it as a producer, word of mouth. But what am I supposed to do? I'm just starting out. I got a couple clients. I don't have enough word of mouth. I haven't built a reputation yet. What should I be doing? What should I be spending my time on? Right? So let me erase this real quick because this is important. Now, there's two different ways of that we can do things, right? There's passive and there's active. So word of mouth is passive, right? So put word of mouth is passive. Ads or any other kind of, promotion or networking, content, that's all active. That's all stuff you're doing, going out and doing, as where word of mouth kind of passive. You can't really do much except ask people to talk about you, and they either will or they won't, So if you want to just wait for word of mouth to take off for your business, do that. You can just wait and keep doing work and try to get clients and slowly grow and build a reputation. And hey, maybe you have that, maybe you luck out. Maybe you land, work with the artist and they blow up. And now all of a sudden your word of mouth is huge, but it's very worthy at that point. Your reputation just automatically shot up. And that happens. But for most of us, we may not get that lucky break, or we don't want to wait for that lucky break to happen. We want to take action and get moving. So that's the problem with word of mouth. It's passive. You can only do so much to control it. Because take a look at this. To me, a strategy, we're talking about marketing strategy. Let's see here, erase this. When we're talking about marketing strategy, my definition of it is we can control it. We can measure it. Oops. Undo that. Measure it here. Oh boy. One day I'll get used to this thing. So we can control it, we can measure it, and then most importantly, we can scale it. So control it, measure it, and scale it. That to me is what a good marketing strategy is. Now, let's look at word of mouth. Can we control it? Not really. Outside of, again, doing our best work, which we should do anyway, being a good person, we can ask people to, of course, talk about us, to post that we did their record. But outside of that, we can't really control it. Can we measure what it's doing? Can you put $10 into word of mouth and make $1,000 back? I mean, we can't really measure that outside of saying, well, half of my work comes from word of mouth, or all my work comes from word of mouth. We can't really measure it, so it's not a strategy to me. And since we can't measure it, we can't really scale it, So that is why I don't consider it a strategy. And I'll end the word of mouth section on this with word of mouth is great until people stop talking. I'll say it again. Word of mouth is great until people stop talking. I've seen a lot of people who they were the it kid. They were just, everybody was talking about them. They were killing it. They were doing great. And just people kept reaching out to them. They were getting, a lot of wins with their clients and just doing an incredible job. And then, they got a little busy. Started getting a little stressed out. Like, okay, I'm going to scale it down a little bit. I'm going to kind of slow down. I'm going to take a couple months off, reward myself for working hard. And then it starts going down. There's some new it kid that people are talking about. Oh, well, yeah, we did our last song with him, but have you heard of this guy? Have you heard of this new guy or girl? And then they start talking about him. So as your momentum goes down, because you don't have a system that's getting new clients in at will, you're just relying on other people to talk about you. Again, when people stop talking about you, if they do, I'm not saying that'll always happen, but I've just seen it happen. And then that person was screwed. They're not doing this anymore, by the way. They're not a producer anymore. They're done. They don't have it in them to try to build it back up. Because once it starts trending downward and you've been just coasting on word of mouth and referrals, if it trends downward, then you're screwed. What are you going to do then? Now it's almost, in a lot of cases, too late to try to get that momentum back, or it's going to take a lot of work and a lot more time to do it. So that's my my thing with word of mouth there. So it's great to have. It'll happen naturally. Don't worry about it. Now, with that said, it's not smart to disregard other things. Paid ads is one of those things. And again, like I said, if you're running paid ads to cold traffic, like most people do, cold traffic, here, I'll erase this and write. I know you want to see more of my crappy handwriting, so we got, I'm going to do that every time, aren't I? Bear with me. Okay. I'd say by video number 5, I'll have this little sucker down. All right, cold. And we're going to say warm over here. So cold traffic are people that have never heard of you. Warm traffic are people that have heard of you. Okay? They may not know a lot about you, but they've seen you around, They've heard about you. You can create your own word of mouth, You can put yourself out there. That's more active, right? So the thing about ads where most people get wrong is they say, oh, I heard Facebook advertising works. I'm going to run a Facebook ad for my studio or my production, and I'm going to choose to run it to all the musicians. Maybe all the musicians in my hometown, or if they're online, which is the subset of producers I work with, people who work with clients online. They may say, I'm going to run it to, all the pop musicians, right? And the problem is that when you're running it to cold traffic, it's very, very expensive, because Facebook has to do so much more to get people to actually convert on your ad, because they don't know you. They don't know you from a hole in the wall. So it's very expensive to do it that way. And most people don't even know, how to get that part right anyway. They don't know how to do a good ad. Now, you do it to warm traffic. In warm traffic, they've heard of you. Warm traffic, for the most part who they are, because the ways that you get that warm traffic, you're typically, attracting those people who are potentially your ideal clients, if done right. It's way cheaper to run paid ads to warm traffic. So I'm just going to give you a couple little ideas, show you some things that I do with my consulting clients. I'm not going to go super, super deep into it, but just so you could say, okay, that sounds great, Dan. Cold, warm, whatever. How is this in practice? Okay. And how does this apply to me as someone who's a new producer who may have a couple clients, or, I'm full time, but I'm still struggling. I need more clients to come in. This is what you can start doing. If you want to just be passive and rely on word of mouth, fine, go for it. If you want to be active and start doing some things now that are going to set you up for the future, to get more clients in the future while you're building your reputation, that word of mouth is growing, then continue watching, because this is what you'll want to see. This is how it works. So when I start working with producers, coaching them, there's a couple things that we start right out of the gate, even before we get super into branding and sales and all that stuff, because they take some time to develop, and they're a little bit more hands-on. They're passive, they're active rather. And we want to get started on them right away, knowing that down the line, they're going to reap the benefits of that. So we use a couple of different organic methods, to attract, their ideal client. Just get them in their environment, because then we can, again, run ads to the people that have heard of them, that are most likely to want to work with them because they're a match. They're the ideal client of that producer. So I'll give you an example. The first thing would be um, like we have a pop box for a company Make Pop Music. And what that is, some people would say, "Oh, it's a mailing list," right? And you hear people, "Oh yeah, I gotta have a mailing list. I gotta have a mailing list." And then you hear people like, "Oh, mailing lists are dead. It's old school and do it." Problem is, again, like all the stuff I talk about, people aren't doing it right. You know, in general, a mailing list is boring. No one wants to sign up for your mailing list to get a discount on a beat. No one cares anymore. That's not good enough. No one wants to be on your newsletter to quote unquote get updates. They don't care about your updates. What does it do for them? What does it do for them? So I like to position it, I like calling it a monthly. So it's almost like a monthly subscription. The Pop Box, our ideal client is pop artists and pop producers. So instead of just making a boring ass mailing list, we say, hey, subscribe to our Pop Box. It's free. And every month we're going to send out, pop instrumentals and pop drum samples and articles, educational articles about pop music and this and that, you know, tutorials on how to make pop music. That's what a good monthly is. That they're like, ooh, this is a really cool free subscription. It helps me. And we know the people that subscribe to it are probably our ideal client because we made it for our ideal client. It's not going to be interesting to, a EDM guy. It might be, but or a metal band. You know what I mean? It's very specific to our ideal client. So here's what's cool about this. When we have a mailing list with people on it and we want to run a paid ad. Remember, running a paid ad to warm traffic, much cheaper, much more effective than cold. So check this out. Let's say over here, we are going to run a Facebook ad, right? And what we can do is run it to what's called a custom audience. By the way, let's say there's like 5,000 people on it, okay? So what we could do is export these 5,000 email addresses and make a custom audience on Facebook. That's going to be 5,000 people, roughly. Now, some of the people on here may not have Facebook. Some may be using a different email than they use for Facebook. But, it'll be close to that number most likely. Especially if you've been promoting this thing on Facebook, and that's where a lot of people are signing up. So we run a Facebook ad to a custom audience of 5,000 people that already know us. And maybe we send them to, a video where they can opt in, again, put in their email. You may think, oh, well, they're already on your mailing list. Why would you want the email? Because we want to know who took that next step. Because every step people are taking with us, they take one step and they join our monthly. We run an ad to them. They take another step and engage with us there. They're getting warmer and warmer. They're getting slowly from warm to hot, right? That's what's important about that. And again, it's way cheaper to run a Facebook ad to 5,000 people who already know you than it is to 5,000 people who've never heard of you, to be frank, So that's one example. I'll dive a little deeper into the next one. Just want you to get the concept of that. So again, you could put together a mailing list, or like what I like to call it, a monthly. Now you have to have a really cool idea. That's, part of what I help my coaching clients with. I see people trying to make these, but the idea may not be as that great, or they're not, they may just made something random, but it doesn't really target their ideal client, but I won't go into that. So the point is that it's cheap, almost free to do. Another thing, let's say, you wanted to do a Facebook group, another thing that's free that you can, Facebook group that you can use to, attract your ideal client. Maybe your ideal client is, EDM DJs, I don't know, whatever, maybe you're a top liner or a ghost producer and your target market's EDM DJs. So maybe we make like a EDM, DJ networking group or something. And let's say there's, you know, 2,000 people in it. I like that. EDM DJ 2000. Sounds like a fun robot. Anyway, so you obviously will have a Facebook business page, and I'll explain why in a second. So you got a Facebook business page, and what you can do. So you can't, at the moment, target a Facebook group. You can't target, make a custom audience that is everyone in your Facebook group or someone else's Facebook group. So far, you can't do that. If you're watching this months or years from now, maybe you can disregard this, but there's a cool trick that you can do to get around it. So what you want to do is, if you want to run Facebook ads to your Facebook group or as many people as you can in that group who are most engaged with you, then here's what you do. You're going to make some kind of video. This could be a live video or a static video. And I'm not going to get super into the content stuff in this video, guys. I'm just showing you the concept. So I'm not going to get into like what videos to make. I'm just showing you the concept. So you make a video, you're going to post it to your Facebook business page. This is important because Facebook, well, let me keep going. I'll explain it to you in a second, okay? Then you're going to share that video in your Facebook group. Promote it to your guys. Say, hey group, I made this video. I'd love you to watch it, blah, blah, blah. Make it, compelling. Let's see. So they watch it, vid in group that you shared. And here's what you can do now. So now we're back to a Facebook ad. We can create a custom audience. And that custom audience is going to be people who, and you can adjust this, watched at least 50% of this video. So that's how we get around it. So you make a video to your business page. So the reason is Facebook, in order to make a custom audience, you have to choose a video, obviously, that you want to retarget the watchers, or run an ad to people who have watched it 50%. They obviously have to know what video it is. And to do that, they pull it from videos that are posted on your Facebook page. So that's why you make it on your Facebook page or upload it there, then share it to your group. Technically, you can share it to anywhere, other groups and stuff. But again, make sure you're playing by the rules of other people's Facebook groups, right? This works better when it's obviously your Facebook group because people know you. You've built the authority. So they're warm traffic. So these are just ways, again, to market, do paid advertising to warm traffic, okay? So one more time here, make a video to your Facebook business page, share it in your group, get a lot of views on it, and then run a Facebook ad that is a custom audience that only shows it to people who watched, 50% or, 25%, or you can do people who watch 10 seconds of it. There's a couple different options you can choose. And then you'll be able to target your Facebook group members who already know who you are. All right, enough on that one. Let's go to the last one here. This one's kind of easy, but I just wanted to bring it up because, one of my coaching clients does pretty well on Instagram, and some of you may do that. So some of you may be spending time building your Instagram following. Maybe that's what you're doing for your active, again, while you're waiting for that reputation to build, that word of mouth to start, which, it's going to take a couple years for that to happen most likely. But what can you do in the meantime? Well, you could be building a really cool Instagram account if that's your thing. Because what we can do here is, say Insta, let's say you get it up to 10,000 subscribers or whatever. It doesn't even have to be that, 5, 1,000, whatever it is. You can make a Facebook ad. Custom audience. So again, we want to market to people who already know who you are. And that custom audience can be those 10,000 people on Instagram. And that's good because if they have Instagram, A lot of times they have Facebook, they're connected. So you can actually do two sort of things here. I had a coaching client, Mark, who was like, I was explaining this to him. He was like, well, I don't really want to run ads on Facebook. My Instagram follow, I'm more active on Instagram. But here's what you can do. You don't even have to run. When I say Facebook ads, Facebook owns Instagram. So you could just run an ad back to your Instagram followers. So everyone that follows you, they already know who you are. You run an ad exactly to them. Of course, you can also run a separate one or the same ad also to Facebook. So they see you on Instagram, they get back on Facebook, they see you on Facebook, things like that. So anyway, that's my quick little word of mouth versus paid advertising. The two go hand in hand. Word of mouth, again, is just a byproduct of doing good work. That'll happen as your reputation builds. But for the most part, it's passive. There's not really much you can do to control or scale it, besides just keep doing good work, which you should do anyway. So with paid ads, again, I agree with most of the people out there that are saying paid ads aren't a good idea. I agree with them because what they're referring to is people who don't know how to do them, and they're marketing to cold traffic. So if you do it, if you work on building up your warm traffic, or attracting your ideal client to either your Instagram page or a Facebook group, or you put together a cool monthly focus, put time on that. Because when you get 500, 1,000, 2,000 people into your environment, you can do a lot by marketing to them. You can do a lot. So, hope you enjoyed this video. There's a link, a couple links in the description I want to talk about real quick before I let you go. I have a free 40-minute class where I kind of show you the whole process of how I help music producers build successful music production companies, all the little strategies that we do. Definitely check that out. There's a link to a podcast that I run down there, blog, Facebook group, networking group, Make a Living Producing Facebook group, all that stuff. And of course, this is a new channel, so I appreciate any thumbs up or comments or subscribes, all that stuff. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.